The first one, Nights Must Fall. This was a Fritz Freleng directed cartoon, and it's pretty
Is that
standard.
like 1949?
Something like that, yeah. So it's like just after the war. Bugs Bunny, he hasn't even hit 10 years old at this point. So he's only 9 years old. They're still kind of figuring out what Bugs Bunny is, really.
Interestingly, he loses at first.
Yeah.
Like he's like as cocky as he usually is, but he does terrible at jousting.
Well, one thing I find kind of interesting with this one is Bugs Bunny, once he kind of comes into his own in that, like, this is the Bugs Bunny everybody knows, is he's always sort of the everyman who gets mixed up in something. He's like a Hitchcockian figure, actually, because he is a guy who is wronged. He's in the wrong place at the wrong time, and it is not his fault what happens to him. This is different. This is a little bit of an earlier Bugs where it's not the earliest Bugs where he's an antagonist.
Yeah.
This is that little middle period before Chuck Jones really takes over. And so that when we meet him, yes, he just happens to be living in, knights in armor times, and he gets this knight angry because he uses him essentially as a trash can. And that, of course, means like they have to end up in a joust. And so then we get, just a short of Bugs Bunny going up against a knight.
Now we do get some classic Bugs Bunny, slapped in the face with a glove, and then he hits him with I think in that one he hits him with his gauntlet.
Oh God, I think that happens in a couple of them. That's the thing. When you watch like a bunch of cartoons, they kind of run together a little bit. And like the thing is, what we noticed is certain gags get reused.
Yeah.
Certain names get reused, certain gags get reused. And so like maybe in this one he got slapped with a gauntlet, but that I know that happens in another one.
But this happens a lot. Like this means whoa, and then like the slapping, and he does like he one-ups him, and
Yep.
So it was kind of interesting to see kind of the origins, like one of the early.
Yeah, like an earlier version of that. Yeah, and so they end up in a tournament against each other, and of course, they have a nice little crowd scene of guys, get your peanuts here, get your programs. It's that classic, Warner Brothers, we're at a sporting event type of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, this may as well have been like, the Bugs Bunny where he goes up against like the entire baseball team. Yeah. It's the same sort of feel. And so you have Bugs jousting against this huge knight, and Bugs at one point, I guess he builds a steam engine essentially to, ride against this guy. And at the end of the short, all of the knights come against him, and he is able to beat them all. And the end of the short is him selling off their armor.
Yep.
So it's a nice little, cartoon. It's not bad. It's funny. I've definitely never seen this one before. This was kind of a new one to me. And I don't know. I mean, I don't want to call it a throwaway, but it definitely feels like the earliest version of this sort of story that they were trying to tell.
I'm gonna say none of these is the best Bugs Bunny.
I don't know. I really like Knighty Knight Bugs.
Like there's good gags, but I feel like it's still not as good as like I don't know what the composer one,
yes, where they call him Leopold.
Yeah.
Or the one where he goes up against Witch Hazel.
Yeah.
Although I will say, the next one, in terms of when they were made, the next one, Mare Hare, has a lot in common with the one where he goes up against Witch Hazel.
Right.
So the second one we watched, Mare Hare, that's like 55. And that's a Chuck Jones cartoon. Mm-hmm. Now, that one, it's a bit more disjointed than the other cartoons because it kind of just changes what's going on and halfway through it. It still stays like Arthurian and whatnot. And it is couched in sort of a Connecticut Yankee and King Arthur's court story. So that the first time we meet Bugs, he is just hanging out in a field, I guess in the suburbs or something, under a heat lamp because his ears were just washed and he can't do anything with them. And so he's sitting there with like a magazine in a robe. And, it's very much, Bugs,
I thought that was
No. This is the one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This is the one where because the other one
Oh, that's right.
is entirely medieval.
Yeah. Okay, never mind.
This one has the framing device because this one is like the first iteration of A Connecticut Yankee and Karen.
It's actually pretty funny. Yeah.
No, I really like this one.
Yeah.
I like this one. I understand why the third one wins compared to this one, but I think this one's the better cartoon for a couple reasons. One, we get some of the gags for the first time here, where it is like
cirrhosis of liver.
Like when he meets the Black Knight.
Yeah.
He lists off these names, and it's like cirrhosis of liver and blah 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 and all. So that's the first time we hear that joke. But also, so in this one, Bugs falls asleep. He gets hit in the head with an apple as he's sitting out in the garden or whatever. I do like Bugs the Dandy. That's sort of my favorite Bugs is when whenever we meet him and he's like all like. Whenever we meet Bugs and he is in a robe and with sunglasses, or he's getting his hair done, and it's very much the gay Bugs.
Yeah.
And I love gay Bugs. And this is very much him. And I don't know how else to call him. I mean, that's basically what the idea is, right?
Yeah, it's very much center square.
Paul Lynde.
It's very much Paul Lynde.
Yeah, that's exactly
it's just
what it
a
is.
Paul Lynde character.
Yes. Or the other way around, to be honest.
Yeah.